do have it. I thought I did.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
All right, thank you.
So there will be 2 o'clock.
You get that one thing that makes ice and cold stuff after you eat ice. That's good enough. I was helping somebody.
Hey, there's 7 people on that. There's 7 slots
On what?
on economic development.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have 5 now.
right.
So there's 2
You're allowed
others.
9.
Yeah. 7. Is it 7?
I thought the home rule charter said 9.
Well, there's, well,
I could be wrong.
okay, we'll check, because I know there's 5 now. So I'm thinking that's probably the 7.
Rather home rule charter, what?
We had a recording
Oh,
of
it'd
the
be
meeting.
I thought it was in the home rule charter. I read it somewhere.
Isn't it here now?
I think it would probably be
Yeah,
whenever we
I was
create it.
thinking October.
It'd be in the ordinance or in the resolution.
Okay.
I know that the one gentleman,
That time was
Right, Tommy Wallace.
Tom Wallace, and then there's always one other one anyway.
I remember.
There's always one?
There's always one extra one that they didn't have filled. And then when he left, that would have created him, so there's 7. I think there's 7.
Okay.
I think after we appoint these 2 people, I don't think there's any more lost up for.
We'll see, because I got a couple more people.
We brought it out at the
We need to work with some diversity on the other side.
I agree.
Find out that West Liberty Avenue, they have another story. Okay, people do all
The
the
other
work
guy's not here.
on the car. Change oil and all this and that. I got a
The
call.
other guy for the economic development.
Soon.
John, I have them, honey.
He was
Okay, thank you.
out Just about ready for state inspection. But prior to that,
It has,
He can't see it. That camera's shooting this way. He's got marks on it down. Look where Chris is.
Yes.
$89.
What are we looking at?
No, not quite. Find out. Since it's a General Motors car,
okay, yeah, so
and
it's
you
El
both
Paso.
name General Motors, you take it,
That was one.
you have to give them all kind of information.
What?
Not your license number or your insurance company and all this and that. So they had to contact their source to get the app
He said El Paso.
and the key. That's the one.
They were right
There's no problems with that. Finally,
One was done,
I
one
got
was
to
up
the
there.
county to my house.
No way.
Serious. No, there's no trick. There is no trick in starting the car. Because with the wife's keys, you put it in, you turn it on, you let it go for a while. Okay, then after that, shut it off, put the new key in.
And that's it.
Harry Slater.
Wow, nice.
Do you by any chance remember there were
And, you know,
two
and they made such a fuss.
since our
He came to my, guy comes to
One
my
was
house.
They go without it, it's too
was
long.
in Texas at the Kmart.
Sunday morning or Saturday morning,
And there was one, I
before he was out
remember
there.
it was Ohio.
To do that for you.
Well,
Wow.
I was,
Somewhere in that
I
area.
was making a big
They were,
problem.
Every
Planning
time
on
I say
them
it's
to
a
do
cheap,
it,
probably.
You were.
getting a runaround.
Oh, well, I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, no, see, you can't take this to like
Is the guy from the
General
census?
Motors. You have to take
No,
it,
you have to take it to that.
you can't take it to a toy dealer.
No, you cannot.
I found that one out. Cause they can't do it. They can't program
They
it.
can't do that. It's not their menu.
The guy from the census?
Howard.
I don't think so.
The guy from the census.
Yeah.
I
don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. Why, you know?
No, I just wondered if he was expected to address
How'd you know?
I don't know.
because he has a bag that says census.
Yeah, Scott, I don't think so. I don't think he's,
No, I just put two and two together. Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
been down,
He didn't ask. He didn't
No,
say.
he's not. He's here on my behalf.
have you ever been down to 380 auctions?
Nope.
He was here like 4:30.
Really? For a car?
No,
What's 380 auction?
Who's texting me?
that's another one. It's a place where you can buy pumpkins.
Nobody's excited about the Capitol.
You name it.
I thought it was gonna be packed. It must be someone to give. I think Shade Tree
Half
Commission.
this stuff ain't gonna make it.
Shade Tree Commission
Half of it
has a
is
meeting
like
tonight, I
anyway.
think.
What's
That's
that?
it?
What'd you say?
I said Shade Tree Commission tonight, I think. It's just,
If
They
you take
overpowered me.
286 and stay on that road, then you'll die the
You
hill.
know this is live streaming.
Halfway down the hill, on the left-hand side,
That's why I'm holding this deal.
380
Tyler,
auction.
Tyler just told me he heard us talk.
They're
Before
not
you
in-
get like into Vandergrift and stuff, way before that?
Oh, it's, you're in the country.
supposed to use truck.
Oh, wow.
They have
You
corn,
can hear the
they have plants for growing, different colors, although we didn't get the right colors my wife wanted.
That sounds like a nice Saturday morning drive and come back and do the.
It's good audience.
Get it all ready, decorated for fall.
No, I had to pick it up and put it in the trunk of the car. They're not like
It was like Obama, when they caught him talking to the Russian
Make a mess.
prime minister.
not too bad.
After you get.
Tell Vladimir.
Oh, you'd be surprised inside the building.
We'll be right with you in a moment. Please stand by.
It's great.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're on.
I'm on.
You're on, Mayor.
I'm on. Thank you all for attending. It being 7:10, I will call, before I call the meeting to order. I do have some amendments to the agenda. The first is that we will have under introductions of ordinances, there will be an introduction of the ordinance for the sale of the old municipal building. I also will have, what was the other one?
Under items for consideration to accept the proposal.
And then under items of consideration, it will be to accept the proposal from the interested parties wanting to purchase the building, but we will not be voting on it because of the fact that it was not advertised. But those will be amended to the agenda. And before, I usually have Mayor's FYI information before we start the meeting, but today I just want to make a formal apology to the two people who were mistakenly by mayor and council stating that they did not send in their criminal background check. It was Arlene Holtz from the Arts Committee and Rita Spalding from the Arts. It was a huge mistake by the municipality because of the fact I am so apologetic, and I'm sure council will be, that we had those names placed in the paper saying that they were not in compliance with the resolution that was passed regarding turning in their background checks. And when in fact they had moved from the municipality and were no longer on the boards. Now, as I said, I can't apologize to them or to their families enough because it was unfortunate that mayor and council were not made aware of that situation and that their names were included. And it was probably embarrassing not just to them, but to their families, that they had given their time to the municipality while they were residents, and then when they left, they get thanked by having their names put in the media that they did not comply with the resolution, which is the rule of the municipality. So again, my sincere apology to both. I know Rita Spalding. She has been so active in so many things throughout the years. It's my sincere apology to them and also to their families for that mistake. I don't know if council want to say anything, but like I said, I do apologize, and I hope that perhaps, Dylan, you can put in somehow or another that that was an error on mayor and council and the municipality, and we do apologize for that error. I would be very appreciative if you could.
Mayor Kuhn, I too want to give them my deepest apology on that. I think we need to have a little better method of and a list of who's on our boards so that we could keep up to date. Maybe the manager can look into that and give us a yearly report on who's on the boards and who isn't, so this never happens again.
I agree, because I know that we do receive information from the manager as far as when contracts are up for renewal. So it was an oversight. It wasn't intentional on anyone's part, and I know that everyone who was involved with the error is truly apologetic. But it would be beneficial for the mayor and council if, when a board member is either resigns or is no longer serving, that information would be passed on to mayor and council. Anyone else have a comment? In 2008, the federal consent decree was dismissed, and the municipality entered into a consent order, which is what all the other surrounding communities had, was a consent order. Then we had to have sewer televising, manhole inspection, structural dye testing, hydraulic analysis in the entire Penn Hills sewage collection system, as well as completion of certain capital projects. And by 2016, under the COA, all of the structures in Penn Hills were dye tested to eliminate illegal stormwater connection, and all sewer lines had been televised to determine where repairs were required, and repairs of the problem sewer areas discovered by the sewer televising was then initiated. In February of 2016, the DEP terminated our 2008 consent order agreement. And concurrently, the municipality entered into a phase 1 COA with the Pennsylvania Department, DEP, which contained a limited scope of obligations, which included a study and demonstration projects, and that was completed and expired in 2018. So it showed that at one time, the municipality was under a criminal consent decree. Then we were able to get out of that and go into a consent order, which is what all the other surrounding communities were under. And then because of the fact that Penn Hills did such a good job and did all the mandates and made all the changes and the construction that had to be done, we were taken out of that and basically put on probation of, if you continue to do what you have done in the past, then you will no longer have to be under one of these consent orders. That being said, we still have to make sure that we comply with the mandates, which, like I said, will be unending. So it's not like, well, now since we did all that, why can't we lower the sewage fee? Because of the fact it's a continual maintenance that has to be done. And so by doing that, we stay free of being fined in any way, shape, or form. Just to show you some of the money, since 2008, the municipality has spent over $23 million on sewer improvements. $23 million on sewer improvements. And since 2008, mayor and council did not have to borrow any money, putting the municipality into debt. That was able to be paid by the revenue that is produced by this sewer fees that is collected. Now, of course, that figure does not include the millions of dollars spent prior to 1998. The capital plan presented shows $15.8 million in funding over the next 5 years to comply with the requirements and operation and maintenance. That's O&M, which every member of this council goes to seminars on what the new mandates are going to be every year, because the government continually puts mandates on. Okay, so that plan will be sewer repairs, major sewer upgrade projects, televising, New grant funding opportunities will be persistently requested to supplement these costs. Penn Hills is now currently in full compliance with the consent decrees and is expected to continue this full compliance throughout the rest of time, hopefully. SOARs were not popular. So what had happened back in the 80s and 90s were council did not do what was being requested of them because they would have to raise the sewer rates. And unfortunately, some people who become council or mayor are sometimes concerned more about re-election than they are doing what is the right thing. So the SOARs were always put on the back burner because of the fact that if you had a park, oh, everybody could see, look, that council gave us a beautiful park. If you got your street paved, oh, look, that council gave us a beautiful new street. But nobody can see SOARs because they're underground, so they were always overlooked and bypassed. And that history is shown when Penn Hills became the poster child, showing that this is what will happen to this community if you do not abide by the mandates that are put in front of you. So the incoming mayor and council then had to do the hard decisions of coming into compliance, and that took SOAR increases. And believe me, mayor and council take a terrible beating on SOAR increases. And like I said, it's easy to say, well, if I'm elected, I have this magic wand that's going to make your SOAR rates go down. But in reality, once they become on council, they realize there is no magic wand because of the fact we have to follow the mandates that are presented to us, which we have done. And really and truthfully, I applaud mayor and council for making the hard decisions, for taking the hits and doing the right thing for the municipality. And now when new administrations come in, they will not have the burden that these members had in making it right. Because now when they come in, everything is in full compliance. There's no consent decree, consent order. So now they start with a clean slate. So I personally thank mayor and council and our manager, previous manager, all my staff, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, but it was an accomplishment that everyone who has served since 2005 should be proud of, because we took a mess and we cleaned it up. So that's one good thing. Now, like I said, we have to have a public hearing. So I just gave you some highlights, and then now it's your turn to come up to mayor and council, give your name and your address. If there's anything in the capital program that you have questions on, this is your time to come up and ask them, and we will do everything in our capability to give you an answer. And as I often tell people, you might not like the answer we give you, but you will get an answer. So if there's anyone who would like any questions or input on the capital program highlights for 2020 through 2024, please come up to the mic at this time. Just give your name and your address, and if you could speak up.
Absolutely. My name is Angel Santana, and I was here before I spoke before you guys. And my address is 351 Idlewood Road. And I'm just wondering, that code enforcement, $54,000, does that include, what do you get for $54,000, just out of curiosity?
Really and truthfully, where's Ed when I need him?
I can answer that question. The 54,000 is actually, it's actually the capital program represents expenditures and things from the municipality that have a lifespan of longer than 2 years. So that includes vehicles. So the $54,000 for code enforcement is actually code enforcement vehicles. Those are their cars.
Okay.
And you'll see, like, if you look further through the plan, there's a fleet rotation plan for police cars, ambulances, things like that. So in many cases, departments like the planning department or code enforcement, they don't have, they're not like public works where they have street paving and they're purchasing dump trucks and plows and things like that, or the sewer department that has major sewer projects, things like that. So for code enforcement, the actual capital plan for code enforcement is vehicles.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with, let's just say, vacant properties?
No.
Maintaining anything like that?
Actually, the plan is really, it's the intent of the charter is that mayor and council pass a capital program which reflects the goals and objectives of the municipality into the future, a future plan for the municipality. So then the capital program would then tie into the comprehensive plan. And so what really is represented here is each department has gone through this capital plan. Might seem exactly the same as previous years, but it's actually quite different. I've worked closely with the manager on a new format where if you have the whole thing in front of you, each department put their requests in or their proposals for what would be done.
Okay.
And then it's reflected in this department capital plan, which is what you see before you on the screen. And then they also submitted the funding sources. So the difference between the 5-year capital program funding sources and the 5-year capital plan, the actual plan, is about $7 million. You'll see there's $31 million proposed and $24 million in actual funding, but that's primarily grants, things like that. So the sort of the job of mayor and council is to extend this on further. How do we fund these things? We do. The police department needs new police cars. They need the EMS needs a new ambulance, things like that. So the way this capital program works differently than previous years is you're actually going to see the gap there. And then the intent would be that through either additional capital funding or grants, we would close that grant. And this is a working document, and over time, you'll see that these are the goals and objectives of the municipality. So even, and maybe someday the idea would be that we would actually have a surplus in the capital fund. There would actually be additional funding. Okay. So we've built a municipal building, we've built a library, we've built a public works garage. Maybe we have a new recreation center in our future. That would go into this capital plan. So it's really, these are expenditures and activities that would, like I said, a longer year than 2 years, and this is the 5-year plan. So for code enforcement, I realize you're very conscious of what code enforcement does, and you're looking for what they do.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think this is really vehicles. It's not very exciting.
Okay.
But in future budget hearings, so this is adopted in September. It's required to be adopted by the charter in September. And the budget is December. It will be adopted in December 31st.
Okay, for 2020.
Right. And these folks, the mayor and council, are going to have several hearings on the budget. And maybe that's a more appropriate time to come and see if you think that there are tools or things that code enforcement needs. Maybe that's a time to come and discuss those.
Well,
but right now, it's not really very exciting.
I would propose personnel to actually take care of the vacant lots, because I have one that's, pretty drastic
so there might be
on my property.
There might be a more appropriate time to discuss it where, like I said, this isn't that exciting.
Okay.
It's exciting. I don't want to say it's not exciting.
No, it's
what
fine.
the municipality's plan and goals and objectives are for the future. But
Okay.
it's really, these are hard costs of sewer, streets, recreation. You'll see in there's 2 new pavilions for the Recreation Department, and then here it's reflected that Title 13, the $104,422 is to purchase, that's a grant we received for 2 pavilions. And I think, as the mayor said on many of these things, if you look at this is a lot of that $24 million. There's $2.5 million is the capital fund contribution from mayor and council, and the rest of it is basically grants. So to close that gap, we need to either increase the capital fund or go after, receive more grant funding, and we're doing that every day. In fact, there's resolutions on tonight's meeting to apply for additional grant funding.
Okay, so I guess at a more appropriate time, I'll come back and I'll ask my question.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Number one.
Are there any other questions regarding the capital improvement? No questions? Now's your chance. Is there any comments that the council would like to give regarding this? As I said, this will be voted on later in the meeting where it's listed on the agenda. So if you want to give your comments at that time, this is just a public hearing where anyone in the audience can ask a question on what is being presented as your capital improvement. There being no further questions, we will call the meeting adjourned. Do I need to take a vote on that, solicitor? Okay, so the meeting was held.
The public hearing.
Public hearing was held, information was presented, and the public hearing meeting is now over. So we will go back to the regular agenda. I also have appointments to make. So I know.
You said we were going to do that after the minutes.
Okay. So before we do the appointments, do I have a motion for August 19th, 2019 council meeting minutes?
Mayor Kuhn,
Councilman Underwood?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of August 19, 2019, obviously, which are council meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Are there any comments from the audience on the August 19th, 2019 council meeting minutes? Comments from council? Roll call, Maureen.
Deputy Mayor Sept,
Abstain, I was not here for that meeting.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci,
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn,
Yes.
Mr. Brodnicki.
Yes.
And now I would like to make 2 appointments. I know that council had received the resumes from the 2 people who are interested in serving on our economic development. You have those resumes in front of you. The one is from Kelly Anker, and the other is from Jeffrey Ellen Rhodes. I know Kelly's in the audience. I don't know if Jeffrey is. Okay, Jeffrey, good to see you. Do you want to stand so everyone could put, and Kelly, you also? Both of the resumes were excellent, and we're glad to have you on economic development. It's very important in the municipality. Everyone from staff to council to administration worked very hard to bring economic development into Penn Hills, and we have succeeded fairly well. So we hope that all your suggestions will just continue that frame that we have working for us at this point in time. Thank you very much for offering your time and services. It's people like you who make the municipality great. Do I have a motion to accept? Can we do both at the same time?
Absolutely, Mayor.
To accept Kelly Anchor and Jeffrey Allen Rhodes to our Economic Development Committee.
Mayor Kuhn, I'll make a motion to accept Kelly Anchor and Jeffrey Rhodes into our Economic Development Team.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any comments from audience on the two new appointments? Comments from council? Roll call.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. Brodnicki?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sept?
Yes.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you again. We appreciate it tremendously. Do I have a motion for the expenditures?
Mayor Kuhn?
Councilman Brodnicki or John? I couldn't.
Councilman Brodnicki.
Brodnicki.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the expenditures of September 23rd, 2019. 6 CD requisitions of $2,468.48. The master of 44445 to 44747 for $2,750,587.70 for a total of $2,773,056.18.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Are there any comments from the audience regarding our expenditures? No comments? Comments from council? Roll call, Maureen.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. Brodnicki?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sept?
Yes.
Now we will move on to agreements. The first agreement we have is to approve an agreement with Plate Capture Solutions and Corporate Leasing. Do I need a motion on this?
Motion to
Do I have a motion
Mayor
for
Kuhn?
the Plate Caption Solution licensing agreement?
Mayor Kuhn? I'd like to make a motion.
Councilman Brodnicki,
I'd like to make a motion, we approve this agreement with Plate Capture Solutions Incorporated Licensing.
do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any comments from the audience? Just to give you a brief information on this, once again, Mayor and Council worked very hard with the district attorney in to receive cameras in order to take pictures of license plates of people who have done some type of crime for investigation. Mayor and Council made it very clear to the district attorney that he had stated that Monroeville had received anywhere from 7 to 10, I believe it was, cameras for their community. So we stepped up to the microphone and asked why Monroeville would receive 7, and Penn Hills is the largest municipality in the county outside of the city of Pittsburgh, and we had received none. And I did explain to him that you have to understand that our location is very easily gone through by someone who has possibly committed a crime, because if they're on the parkway, they easily can get off Rodi Road, go up to Frankstown, make a left, and they can enter into Wilkinsburg, Homewood, or whatever. I'm not just saying those communities. I'm just saying that there's roadways directly to them. And so that we, as Ben Hills residents and the largest community, feel that we are not being treated fairly by not having these cameras. After that presentation, the municipality did receive a camera. Well, we had one, right? We had one down at Duff Road, and we asked for one at Rhode Island Frankstown, and we asked for one at Verona Road and Frankstown. We did receive one, you know, but one's better than none. And so we sent a letter thanking the DA for hearing our complaint and for giving us that, and that we hope that we would be on the list for more. I don't know, to my knowledge, I don't know that we, Howard, have received any other ones, or do we still just have the two? Scott, do you know?
Howard would be able to answer it.
Howard, you have to talk up.
We have one at Rhode Island Frankstown. We're probably going to get one at Robinson, Verona Road, Frankstown. You sent the letter again 2 weeks ago to remind him that you put one in there for us. So we should be getting one. We keep after. That'll take the 2 major intersections, and I also need 3 other intersections that I can answer that. So we're working on.
Well, that's good news, Howard. And what this agreement is these are the people whose, I guess it would be software, is that correct? That we would be using. Now, this is only for the cameras that are in place for license plates and what have you. This does not affect the cameras that Mayor and Council and the manager has put in place for illegal dumping. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's what this agreement is for. Did I already ask for,
There's a motion and a second on the floor, I believe, yes.
did we get a motion? We already did. Okay, so again, being that I gave that information, is there any comments from council? Because this is the time for you to give your comments, is when we are presenting agreements, ordinance, or resolutions. So if there's any questions of any kind, please come up and give your name and your address and state exactly what your comment is pertaining to the agreement for the cameras. That's what we're discussing.
Good evening, thank you. Pauline Calabrese, 142 Crescent Hills Road. I get that Monroeville is located near the turnpike, and so that's just a real throughway for drug activity, so I sort of understand why they would get more cameras. But I thank you so much for going to bat for us. It's wonderful, the cameras we got. We too often are forgotten, and I think it's terrific, Mayor, that you went to bat and got us the camera that you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And like I said, that is what Mayor and Council do when we go to Seven Springs. It is not a convention. We don't, we pay for our own transportation. We get a room and we get 3 meals. That's it. But we get so much done at these seminars that we have for the Allegheny County municipal, right. So I tell all my new members that come on that they should please make sure that they attend, because this is when you have one-on-one that you can stand up and make your pitch for your community, which we do. Do I get enemies from it? Yes, I do, as my counsel can tell you, because of the fact when the answers are given to me, I respectfully say, with all due respect, that answer is not acceptable. And I always remind them that Penn Hills is your largest community. And we do not want you in our community only when you're running for election and you want to go to a senior function or something for a photo op. that you have to remember, even though we're in the east, and sometimes the eastern communities, which are the older communities, do not get the attention from the county that we should get. But they forget that it was the older communities in the east who took care of Allegheny County before Boone Township, North Hills, and what have you. So it's very important to attend. For any new members that would be coming on in January, I would definitely tell you it's so educational, and it's a place where you not only receive information, but you also can present what it is your municipality needs from not just Allegheny County. You have a right to speak to. I've spoke to federal people. I've spoke to state officials, and this is when the voice of Penn Hills needs to be presented. So, is there any other questions from council on this?
Mayor, I have a question, but Scott can probably answer this. Are the other municipalities using this same company?
I think it's probably countywide, if it's through the
It's
DAs.
the same for everyone?
I believe they are. I believe they are.
Okay.
That's correct, Deputy Mayor. It's one company, works in the DA's office. It covers all of Allegheny County, not just the Rosedale, Penn Hills. It goes up to the North Hills, South Hills, all cameras system here in connection.
Okay.
You can monitor from here with one for North Hills. So it's all one company.
Thanks, Chief.
Any other comments from council? Maureen, roll call?
Mayor Kuhn,
Yes.
Mr. Brodnicki,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Snap,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have another agreement, and that is agreement that the municipality enters into between the municipality and Penn Hills and the Allegheny District Attorney pertaining to request for video and body camera taping. Do I have a motion for that, this particular agreement?
Mayor Kuhn, I'll make a motion to approve an agreement of memorandum understanding made and entered by and between the municipality of Penn Hills and the Allegheny County District Attorney's Office.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made in second. Are there any comments from the audience? Just to give you a brief synopsis of this, what it is when Penn Hills receives a request from someone asking for the video that is on the police cameras in their cars or on their body cameras. Instead of Penn Hills having to make the decision whether or not we have the right to distribute that information, the request will go down to the DA's office, and the district attorney then will make the decision as to what tapes can be released and what tapes can't. So that's basically what this agreement is for. Are there any questions from the audience? No? Questions from council?
Mayor Kuhn,
Deputy Mayor Sept?
if I may address the chief for this one. Chief, can you tell me what exactly would be the pro for our information to be determined by the district attorney whether or not we released?
First to give me a microphone. A little background on this, Deputy Mayor. The biggest concern I had before we started using the body cameras, and most other departments also, was the right to know. People out there would just file right to know, and we'd have to provide that for them. And our biggest concern was with the body cameras, we couldn't be involved with all the expense of copying all these things and putting them out there. So legislation came out, Act 22, where our legislature said body cameras and in-car video cameras are not covered by the right to know. It's under Act 22 now, which basically says it has to go to court if there's a decision made whether we have to release the information or not. So rather than the municipality making this decision, the district attorney offered a memorandum of understanding for all police departments in Allegheny County to do the memorandum of understanding, and he'll make the decision as what to be released and what's not to be released. In this way, if he says, no, I'm not going to release it, then those folks have to go to court to get it released. And that saves us a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money, so we don't have to defend that in court.
If I could just add something
Yeah,
to the discussion too, Deputy Mayor. In the MOU, we still have the ability to release video if we wanted to, but we just have to give the DA notice. So we still have the ability, if we wanted to release a video on our own, we could. But Act 22 authorized these types of MOUs for the DA's office to vet these kind of requests. And plus, I think one other reason, to your point about the advantage, I don't know that we have the technical capability to redact video all the time. There's probably a cost and expense to be able to redact video, so they would be doing that. If there was video that needed redacted, I don't think we have the ability to do it.
No, not at this time. It'd be a cost factor. If we do decide to do that, that's going to involve cost, buying the type of program you need to go into that, plus training the people to do it, and have someone capable of doing that and spending the time doing that. So every time that would happen, you have to get the video, determine what segment of the video you're looking at, then redact that video to make sure no other persons get their face on that video. So it's a major undertaking, a major expense.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Scott.
Is that answer, what you were looking for?
I'm satisfied at this point.
Okay. Any other comments from council? Roll call.
Mr. Brodnicki?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sept?
No.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Mayor Coon?
Yes. Do I have a motion for resolution number 2019-038?
Mayor Coon,
Councilman Underwood.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-038, awarding a 2-year contract to CWM Environmental Incorporated for the daily inspection, maintenance, and repair of sewage pump stations.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made in second. Just to give the audience some information on this, this would be a 3-year contract. The first year, October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020 is $130,000. The second year would be $130,000. And there is an option for a third year in the amount of $130. Our water pollution department reviewed the bids, and they are recommending that it be awarded to CWM Environment. The $130,000 for the first year and second year, and the optional third, and a contract extra repairs for a 3-year period are estimated at $33,020. The first year contract represents a 3.7%, $5,000 decrease in the annual cost, with no increase for the second and third year. CMW Environment holds the current contract, and water pollution feels that they have performed well and have been dependable. There were 4 bids that were substantially higher, and so that is why the recommendation is going for CWN Environment. Any questions from the audience? If you have any questions on any contracts, that is being presented for a vote for mayor and council, this is the time to present your questions. That's why we have each individual resolution separately announced to the public, so that if there's any questions that anyone might have on any details of the contract, that this is the opportunity and the proper place to present those questions so that they can be answered. No questions? Questions from council? Maureen, roll call.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci,
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn,
Yes.
Mr. Brudnicki.
Yes.
Do I have a motion for resolution number 2019-039?
Mayor Kuhn,
Councilman Underwood.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-039, approving a change order to American Electric Group Incorporated for the Lincoln Road WWTP generator replacement contract number 3, contract number 2018-048 in the amount of $2,789.95.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any comments from audience on this change order? No? Comments from council?
Mayor Kuhn,
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
I may have overlooked, but can you just explain, or someone explain, why we have this change order in the amount to increase it by the $2,789.85?
Yeah, I can address that, Deputy Mayor. What had happened is, in the original project, there was a generator that was spec'd out, and that was an error in the spec. There was actually a memo that accompanied the resolution, but when they went in to do the work, they found out that it was spec'd out wrong. And so it has to do with the voltage on one of the generators. It was spec'd out incorrectly, and so the contractor has to make an adjustment based on that.
Okay.
That's the reason why.
Everyone knows how I feel about change orders. I'm always concerned because of the fact I do not want a bidder to come in and be low bidder and then come back to the municipality, ask for a change order, and then that way they are not really the low bidder because they are increasing their bid with the change order. So I worked in construction for 12 years, and I know how contractors work. So I am very cautious when it comes to change orders. But also I wanted to ask the solicitor, this is not just the amount of $2,789.95, but we also are asking, we also are giving them an extension of time for completion. So, I mean, I think that wording should go into the resolution so that if it comes up that they're over their time, we have in fact also increased their time.
So you want it to be in the heading also?
Well, you're the solicitor.
So why don't we
Do you
change?
think it should be? I mean, the only reason why is, like I said, we are extending their time. I
Right.
think it's 60 days.
So let's make the resolution a resolution of the municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving a change order to Merit Electric Group, Inc. for the Lincoln Road WWTP generator replacement contract number 3, contract number 2018-048 in the amount of $2,789.95, and extending the time for completion for up to 60 days from the date of the resolution.
Now, do we have to
just have, I think Mr. Underwood made the motion, have him amend his motion to state that, and then amend the second. You don't have to reread it, just
Okay.
amend.
Councilman Underwood, would you just say that,
Amending it.
that you're amending your motion per
Yes,
what
I'm
the
making
solicitor
Motion
stated?
to, no,
And who
do.
seconded?
The
Yeah.
second.
You also, okay, that's correctly done
Yep.
then. I did also, what I was concerned about was, did the original specs have the new generator specified so that all bidders were pricing the same? So you're saying that the specs that went out to all bidders did not have this information, and that was due to the plate?
Yeah, what the engineer in his memo said is that the new generator was spec'd out based on the name data plate from the existing generator. So apparently, on the existing generator, there's some type of a data plate that gives voltage information.
Right, and
After
he
the-
has on there that the data plate was never updated.
It was incorrect.
And so therefore, the
No
sp-
one would have known.
Right, so the specs were based on the old
Correct.
voltage and not the new voltage.
Yeah, and
Is
after
that
the
correct?
contractor began, he discovered that the existing generator had been previously converted, but the data plate wasn't updated.
Okay, so,
So-
everyone who would have bid,
It would have happened.
they would have had
Yeah,
the same.
They would have had the same thing.
Okay, any other questions from council? Maureen, roll call?
Mr. Underwood.
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci.
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn.
Yes.
Mr. Brudnicki.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sept.
Yes.
Do I have a motion for resolution number 2019-040?
Mayor Kuhn,
Councilman Brodnicki,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2019-040, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, authorizing the manager to be the designated official to sign and complete all documents and agreements with the Commonwealth Financing Authority for the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Keystone Communities Program.
do I have a
KCD.
second?
Second.
second,
Motion made in second. Any comments from the audience?
Thank you again. For the record, Pauline Calabrese, 142 Crescent Hills Road. I suppose this is more a question for the solicitor. There's really nothing unusual about this. This is just a matter of course, correct? It's sort of a formality.
All it is authorizing the designated officials to sign and complete documents. It's in the standard course of business.
It's just really sort of just a reflection of the fact that it's really the manager who's the full-time position. Mayor was never meant to be a full-time position, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Under the home rule charter, the manager is in charge of the day-to-day running of the municipality. Mayor and council do not have offices up here. We are legislators. We do not get involved with the daily running of the business of the municipality. Under the charter, that is designated to the manager. This is another grant that we are applying for. It would be a huge asset to the municipality for the Beulah Road Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. It is matching funds, but the matching funds for the municipality would be $193,655. If we receive the matching fund grant, that the actual cost is $387,310. So you're looking at a savings of close to $200,000. So naturally, we are hoping that the grant does come through for Penn Hills, because, as I said, it would be a huge assistance for Penn Hills. Are there any other comments from the audience? Comments from council?
Mayor Kuhn, who wrote this grant up?
Damien in our planning department, and Tom O'Grady worked on it.
This is from Damien at planning.
Yeah, and it would alleviate some of the flooding we have down there too.
Pardon?
I said alleviate some of the flooding we have down there too.
I think the people that write these grants should be more recognized than they are if it wasn't for them writing the grants in the community. Like Chris, Scott, Damien, Tina, Megan Balsamico just put a grant in through for $140,000. I mean, this money isn't just plucked out of the air for the things that we get in this community. It's all written by these people that are up here.
A lot of times there's a real short deadline too.
Yeah, the $3 million that we got for the, when Scott first joined us, he hired a grant writer, and that grant writer got us that money. So this money isn't just plucked from the sky. When you hear about people saying, well, we got a $3 million grant, there was a lot of work that went into it. So these people need, like,
Thank you.
some acknowledgement also.
I also agree. And that's basically what I was touching on when I gave the comments on the capital improvement. Unfortunately, the information on what Penn Hills residents have and the staff that it runs your municipality day to day is unfortunately not presented. We will hear comments on, oh, Penn Hills doesn't apply for grants, I'll apply for more grants and what have you. As I read in that statement on the capital improvement, nearly every item that was on there, it is funded through grants. And that's why sometimes I get criticized for being emotional because of the fact that I do not appreciate comments that downgrade my staff and my professionals and my council people. They work very hard for the residents of Penn Hills. They bring in a tremendous amount of grant money for the people of Penn Hills. And when comments are falsely stated that Penn Hills does not get their share of this or does not have that or what have you, that's an insult to the workers that work every day diligently to better the community of Penn Hills. And your community is a wonderful community. You look around at other communities, and as I say constantly, they pay for rubbish. Everybody complained about the increase in the rubbish collection. We have no control on that. As I had stated, when that came up at a public meeting and was discussed, no one wanted to do Penn Hills. We had 2 bids, and the one we chose was the lowest. So other communities surrounding Penn Hills, they charge their residents for garbage pickup. So when we complain that, oh, well, our storage rate is this much more than this community, well, first of all, as I've told everyone, you want to have a platform, you want to stand up and make a statement, then make a statement as to this regionalization. I'm not going to be here for much longer. I have fought this regionalization, and my people can tell you, I have fought it from the day it was presented. I bring it up constantly. You want to have something that's substantial and something that means something. Stand up against this regionalization. They are asking Penn Hills residents to put money in to take care of surrounding communities who are not in compliance. Penn Hills already paid to make sure we are in compliance. We didn't get any help from surrounding communities. Now everyone in the county and what have you, officials, they want to sit around the fire camp and act like, oh, let's all be friends and helpful to our neighbors. Well, where was the help from the county, the state, or the federal people when our residents were killed with the increases for our sores? We paid for them. We are in full compliance. Now, these surrounding communities who now have to come into compliance, they want to have this situation where all the communities join together and everyone pays a flat rate so that they can help pay for the sore problems of the surrounding communities. Well, I don't know how anyone who has any logic can ask Penn Hills, who has paid for everything themselves, to now put in money we're not going to get to draw from because it's already done. So they'll get to draw from it and use your common sense. Outside of the city of Pittsburgh, Penn Hills will be putting more money into this joint collection because we have 22,000 homes. Other communities might have 5,000, might have 8,000. Well, if it's $10 a home, and Penn Hills has 22,000 homes, how much is Penn Hills going to be putting into this community collection? We will be putting in the bulk of the money except for the city of Pittsburgh. And then we aren't even going to be drawing from that money because of the fact we've already done everything. So if anyone wants to take on something that is so important to the residents of Penn Hills, this is your challenge. This administration and Mayor DeLuca's administration have fought that regionalization from day one, and it has not come into place. So I ask the new administration that is coming in January, please continue that fight so that your residents are not paying for surrounding communities' cost to reach the mandates that Penn Hills had to pay alone. That's something that you can really base your energies on. I've asked it for years. Send a letter. If you want, I'll make the letter up and all you have to do is sign it. But you have to have a voice to these officials and tell them, no, Penn Hills isn't doing this. It will be a huge cost and an unfair cost.
Mayor Kuhn. And let's not forget about the $64 million that we already owe, that we're still paying on. They're not going to willing to take our debt off of our hands, and we're still going to end up paying for that on top of everything else. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think Kathy and I and you and Mark, we've all had this discussion with them up there, and basically they can't give us a price per household. So until anybody can work these things out, I don't think it's the right thing to do.
And also, just to remind the residents and who's watching, Penn Hills isn't being arrogant, because we did submit a negotiation to the people with this regionalization that Penn Hills would participate if they would in fact take some of our sewage
Line, 18 inches going up.
that was up in the East Hills area. So we did reach out. So it's not that we're being arrogant and saying it's our way or no way. We tried to reach out, and the answer was no. And you have to remember one thing. If Penn Hills doesn't go into the regionalization, then they're going to have a problem, because they're going to have to go all around Penn Hills and not come through Penn Hills. They're playing a game of chicken as far as I'm concerned. And they think that all they have to do is get one break in the dam and it will collapse. So I hope that isn't the situation. Anyone who wants to have any information regarding the regionalization, you could contact the manager and he will contact. Everyone on this board is well familiar with regionalization. Okay, I didn't mean to go on a tantrum, but that drives me crazy. All right, where are we on this one? Maureen, where am I?
41.
We need any comments from?
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and second, and we're asking any comments from the audience, and this is for resolution 2019-040.
Right.
No comments? Comments from council? Roll call, Maureen.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. Brodnicki?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sept?
Yes.
Mr. Underwood?
Yes.
Do I have a motion for resolution number 2019-041?
Mayor Kuhn,
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
I'd like to make a motion that we receive a resolution of the municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, awarding demolition of blighted and condemned structures that are commercial in nature and located within opportunity zones and commercial zoning districts.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any comments from the audience? This is always a good resolution because of the fact it is a demolition of properties that are an eyesore and possible health problems. I'm glad to see this is on, and usually it's just for residential, and this does cover 4 commercials. And one of them is the Sandy Creek Inn, which was a huge problem for Penn Hills for many years. And I'm sure the chief can agree to this. We tried so many times to make it a nuisance bar so that we could get it shut down. So to see that being demolished is a real plus. Any comments from the audience?
I have one. Is the Sandy Creek really getting tore down this time? I mean, they didn't appeal this again and again and again and again. Are they still in appeal?
They've appealed, they've put in an application to the zoning hearing board for October to appeal my decision as the chief zoning officer to not deny them a building permit.
So we have to wait.
This has gone on for
I know it has,
years,
Chris.
and I had told him basically it's a race. Like we're tearing it down, and he's trying to keep it. And he hasn't satisfied. He's been a no-show. He hasn't satisfied the requirements. He applied for a building permit, hasn't done anything. So I think this is it.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, but we are pushing to get this down. He's trying to save it, and that's where we stand, but I won't deny somebody who comes in an opportunity to
Okay.
apply or appeal this decision. And I think this is a good example of actually, we do this with all these structures. If it can be saved, we'll always give somebody an opportunity to try to save it. And we backed off on demolitions in the past, but this is a real, the demolition of this structure, it's been under watch of the community. It should come down, and we hope that we prevail this time.
I agree. I mean,
So-
I get a call a week on this.
Yeah,
scenic
and
road.
even putting it on a resolution, the demolition contractor is aware of the appeal. So with his bid, we're forging ahead to continue, and we're asking you to approve this resolution to demolish it. However, I want you to be aware that he has appealed my decision.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Once again, this project is funded 100% from the Community Development Block Grant Fund. So like I said, I don't think people realize how hard our staff works for grants and what is accomplished through those grants. Any other comments? Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all right, just give your name and your address.
My name is Josh Caldwell. I don't have any particular standing in this community. I don't live in the community. But when it comes to real estate stuff, I am a subject matter expert. Have you guys looked into conservator actions to take these properties? You have standing as a municipality.
Chris,
Yeah,
you could
we have, but
probably
that's-
answer that the
we
best,
have, but that's
because
a
I
very
know we do
involved-
reach out to
It's not.
contractors.
I've done them.
Well, it's just, you have to prove that the property,
It has to meet 3 of 9 criteria, and
right.
your first citation on it would already hit 3 of 9 in all likelihood.
I think that is a possibility.
And maybe not on these, I'm not familiar
Right,
with the
that's-
specific
yeah,
buildings,
yeah.
but before they get to the stage where you're tearing them down, a lot of these things can be saved. And if you save them, they can go back on the tax rolls, which actually
This-
benefits you guys quite a bit.
In this case, this is actually a non-conforming use. It was a bar and a residential property.
Okay?
So at this point, it was vacant for a number of years, and I, as the chief zoning officer, made a determination that it could not be a bar again. So it has now been sold several times, and to become any kind of commercial property would have to go back to the zoning hearing board for, say, a use variance. Mayor and council would never approve a zoning change for this property. So I think in this case, it's really just, it's not a valuable commercial property like that you might have in mind.
It doesn't
It's actually-
necessarily have to be.
It's
It's
actually,
actually
in my opinion, it's a residential property. The gentleman owns a house
Okay.
in severely bad shape that needs to come down.
And in the resolution itself, it's awarding demolition of blighted and condemned structures. So if the structure is condemned, I mean, we don't just go in and demolish.
Oh, I
build-
understand that, ma'am. I
Yeah,
spent
we
a lot of
don't
my
go in and
time.
demolish properties that we would have the opportunity to put up for sale and have someone buy. If it is condemned, the structure itself, then that's why it's on the demolition.
I understand that, ma'am. That's a lot of what I do. I'm actually working with Hampton to deal with a 100,000 square foot hotel they have in their building that has been condemned for 15 years.
Now, in reality, once the demolition is taken, then the property is there for,
Actually,
Purchase?
the property owner would still own it.
pardon?
The property owner would still own it. When we demolish a single-family home or a commercial business, we're removing the violation, but it's still owned by the property owner.
Don't we
Okay,
lien
so
the property?
when we demolish
We
it,
lien the property
We
for the
lien the
cost of
property.
demolition, but
right,
it's
when
still
we
under the
demolish
ownership.
the structure, the property itself is still owned by the owner.
That's correct.
Okay, but even at that, then if someone wants to make a agreement with the owner to build something for tax revenue to come in, then that's up to them. But as far as the municipality is concerned, this building is, the structure of it's condemned,
That's
correct?
sort of my point, ma'am.
Pardon?
That's sort of my point. Once you condemn a building and demolish it, those liens still exist. The conservatorship action gives you an ability to remove those liens, which allows somebody to come in and actually redevelop it. When you're looking at a vacant lot that has a lot of liens on it, nobody's going to touch that property. It will be vacant for the next 100 years.
Well, I don't know, I mean, this is your opinion, and I am assuming you are a contractor, correct?
No.
Huh?
Nope.
Are you a resident of Penn Hills?
Neither.
No?
No.
Okay. All right,
Who are you?
My name is Josh Caldwell. I run the Pittsburgh Real Estate Investors Association. I'm a nationally known subject matter expert in this particular field.
We've actually had good success with recovering demolished properties and removing the liens through the vacant property recovery program. That's been very successful in Penn Hills.
Okay. Hey, talk to me after this. I think my nonprofit can help you before you get to this stage.
We want this house gone.
This particular one may be the gateway to hell. I don't know.
We're not interested in your help with this property.
Gotcha.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will talk to you afterwards.
Do we have any other comments from the audience? Comments from council? Roll call, Maureen.
Mayor Kuhn,
Yes.
Mr. Brodnicki,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sept,
Yes.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci.
Yes.
All right, John, you don't have to be so enthusiastic.
No, these properties really do need torn down. They're bad.
Do I have a motion for resolution number 2019-042?
Mayor Kuhn,
Councilman Underwood.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-042, awarding a contract to A. Liberto Incorporated for the 2019 CDBG Street Reconstruction Program in the total amount of $300.
I'm going to go back to 2 meetings. Well, as I tell everyone, we do not do things just without discussing it in front of the public. This was discussed. The residents who were at the meeting for the budget were in agreement, and council was in agreement. So now this big situation came up as to the media, the flyers, and what have you, that we have done a terrible thing to the residents, only having 1 meeting a month. So then it came up with council, what is the solution for this? So I don't know exactly who it was, if it was John or if it was Mark, but it came up, well, why don't we have 1 meeting, which is the general meeting, which is where we make all our decisions a month, and then the second meeting only have it as a workshop meeting, so that we then do not have to have the staff come and have to pay for that time that they're here, which I thought was a good solution, and I think most of council did. And I did remind council, because I'm the oldest and I have the history, that back in the 70s and 80s, I don't know, Peggy, if you remember, that's what the council had at that time. They had a working meeting, which was the first of the month, and then the mid-meeting was a workshop meeting where nothing was voted on or that, but there was discussion between the residents and council. Well, September is the last month for the summer 1 meeting. So now we're going to go into October. So I'm trying to clear up some of these loose ends that have been floating around. So I would like to see, now I know we did have a comment that, well, if you don't have 2 meetings, your vendors do not get paid for a month. Well, that's not accurate. In the 6 months that we only have one meeting, which is the 5 in the summer and November, mayor and council receive the expenditures in the middle of the month. Maureen then calls each council person to vote for the expenditures by phone so that our vendors are paid, which is what we do. And then we ratify it at the following meeting. So I think personally that would be a great solution. But right now, it's like follow the bouncing ball. So I would like to have council, if the solicitor says that we can do that at this time, to make a decision. October would start our 2 months. 2 meetings a month. But as we had decided at the budget meeting to only have one, I think we need to clarify to the public exactly what it is we are going to have as far as the meetings. Now, I don't want it to be a political ball here, because all it has to be, like I said, the way it came up was at a budget hearing meeting about overtime. So now, if I could ask council what their thoughts are on this, I'd like to get it resolved, being that October would start 2 meetings a month if that's what we have.
Mayor, may I have a point of clarification?
Sure.
So are you talking about just October and December, since there would only be 1 in November, or would you also have 2 in November?
Well, the only reason there was not 2 in November, which there was never 2 in November as far as I can remember,
Right.
and I've been on boards for 20 years,
Because
because of the fact of the election. So that made the first meeting that would be your acting meeting where you're going to make decisions, that was always held in the middle of the month because of the election.
Right.
So
you're talking about October,
what I'm
December.
saying is, this would be, are we going to do this? Are we going to go back to 2 meetings? Are we going to go to 1 acting meeting and 1 workshop? Are we going to do 1 meeting and 1 workshop 12 months? Or exactly what is council's position on what is going to take place, so we don't look like, Gary, if you remember correctly, when this was asked to be revised 2 months after we put it into action.
Yeah.
So we don't look like we don't know what we're doing here. We vote on something, and then if we want to change it, that's fine. But right now, what is it?
Mayor Kuhn,
Deputy Mayor Sept.
I would like to suggest that we keep it as it is at this point, because it's working well, and we only have October and December. And that, as everyone knows, that goes into our budget hearing meetings where we're going to have 3 anyway.
Right.
So I would suggest that we leave it as is and revisit it in January.
Okay, so you're suggesting we just continue the 1 meeting a month, and naturally in December we have 3 because of our budget hearing meetings. And then in January, when the new administration comes in, then they can decide what they want to do. Is that correct?
That is correct. I don't see what more we would be able to do in October, adding 1 more meeting than we're already
Right.
doing now.
Gary,
I agree.
you agree with that?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, I agree, because we're only adding 1 meeting this year, and we should let the new administration
Okay,
set their
so
schedule.
we are going to stay with 1 meeting a month, with the exception of December, where we have 3 budget meetings. And then come January, the new administration can decide what they want to do. Is that correct?
Yes.
John?
I agree.
Huh?
I agree. I mean,
Makes
we don't have
sense.
that many more
You're
meetings.
very easy
We don't have that
tonight,
many more
John.
meetings left, so, I mean, it really doesn't make a difference, no.
No, it
I
really
mean, if we're gonna
doesn't,
set the
because
standard for
as
the
I
following
said-
year, that would be one
Right.
thing, but we're only setting the standards for 2 meetings.
November is only one, which it always has been. December is 3, so we're only really talking about October.
Right.
So we're going to keep it as, so that the public knows what we're doing and what to expect from, for them to know when to come to a meeting. That's the problem. We have to be consistent so that our residents aren't coming up for a meeting and they see on the sign, no meeting. So what we are doing is we are continuing one meeting a month. And of course, in December, there will be 3 because of our budget hearing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone's in agreement?
Yes.
But I would like to say something.
Go ahead. I didn't cut you off.
No, I want to say something and have this on the record. The reason why we did that, I proposed that back after it came out toward the budget hearing, okay? We did that to save money,
Exactly.
okay? So if we go back to 2 meetings, if the new administration goes back to 2 meetings, it's going to cost us more money. We are saving the amount of money on our help being here. Whether we have a workshop meeting or not, if it goes back to 2 meetings, we incur all that expenses all over again. And
Right.
we're back to the overtime, we're back to everybody sitting here and costing us money.
But that will be up to the new administration.
I
that's
understand it,
coming
but I
in.
want that on the record
But
that
I
it will cost us.
also did explain when this big hullabaloo came about that mayor and council were terrible because we are only having 1 meeting a month. I did explain at that time, when you have a budget hearing meeting and you ask your residents what they would want mayor and council to do, and we present to those people at the budget hearing meeting that we are going to just go to 1 a month so that we save money. Then 2 months later, if we change that position, then it makes it look like mayor and council only said that to appease the people who were at the budget meeting, and then 2 months later, reverse it and go back to where it was. So that's why I was not happy with that situation, because of the fact I felt that we told the budget hearing people that this is what we were going to do. And then in 2 months to change it, it made it look like we were just playing games.
Right, Mayor Coon, I like to say for the record that it wasn't that we were playing games, just so that the people watching and the people here in the audience know. It was the fact that right after that, we had another group of people come in and state that with a municipality of 44,000 residents, that 1 meeting wasn't enough a month to hear what everyone has to say. So what I'd like to add is that we found in having the 1 meeting that it's been working very well and everything has been accomplished. So
I agree.
So I just want to make that clear for those who are watching and for those who are in the audience. So it wasn't that we were going back and forth. It was that we were trying to take everyone into consideration, and we found that 1 meeting is enough to accomplish everything that needed to be accomplished. And if it wasn't, then I believe this mayor and council would have definitely reconsidered whether we made that decision or not in December to make sure that we had 2 meetings so that we would address all of our residents, because that's why we're here.
And I do think it should be up to the new administration to see what they want to do. And I do apologize, but I was ill for a while and missed some meetings. I did not realize that there were a group of people who came to a council meeting who asked for us to go back to 2 meetings.
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
Not just, yeah, there was, and not just at the council meeting, but even outside, as we're just at the grocery stores or wherever we might be throughout the municipality, residents would approach me personally and make that statement. So I know I brought it to the table with the concern, okay? But after, like I said, we've gone through the 1 meeting a month, I'm very satisfied with it at this point because there's been nothing that has gone lacking at all.
Okay, and you feel then that the residents who approached you, you have an answer to give them now?
Absolutely, and now that we have this new way of social media and people can actually watch, they are not really missing a meeting because they can watch right from the comfort of their own homes and get the meeting right there.
Which again, I will say that the whole time I was deputy mayor to Mayor Anthony DeLuca and my time as mayor, I was never in favor of having the meetings televised because of the fact I felt that it would be, some people would use it for 15 minutes of fame, and so that they could be up here using the council chambers for their own personal agendas. And it was Councilman Petrucci who brought it up to my attention. I don't know if another council person had. But after I had seen through the time of being on council that it is not always presented accurately what mayor and council say or do at council meetings. So I think it was a huge success to have this because I personally get phone calls from residents who say to me, I read on social media that this took place and that took place at the council meeting, which wasn't accurate. And thanks to Brent, who was taping the meetings at the time, they said that they would get on your Penn Hills, I don't know, Brent, you know how I am
Positive
with,
change.
so I don't do social media. And they said they watched the meeting and that what was said was absolutely not factual. So then I had to say that I was wrong, that is good, that our residents can see exactly what we say, how we say it, that it's not edited, that it's not put across completely inaccurate. So I think it was a marvelous thing to have done. And as far as those who want 15 minutes of fame, well, that's the price that we have to put up with. But I do think it was a huge improvement for the municipality and the residents of Penn Hills.
And can I add one more thing?
Pardon?
Hopefully someday we can get this put on Comcast or Verizon so everybody that's sitting in their living room can see this.
Well, I know a lot of people watch it because I know I get comments that they don't come to the meetings anymore because they can watch it on the television. But nevertheless, it was a huge improvement, and I was wrong in my not wanting it in the beginning, and I'm glad that it has been brought in. Before we go on to introduction of ordinances and that, I failed to say that our hearts went out to friends and families of the young girl who was kidnapped and ultimately died. Her name was Naloni Johnson, 2 years old, one of our own. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for everyone in Penn Hills, and I'm a grandmother of a 2.5-year-old little girl, and I cannot even in my wildest thoughts realize what that family and friends went through. So I did want to ask for a moment of silence after the pledge, and I missed it. So I would ask if everyone doesn't forget and keeps the family in their prayers, because of the fact that is a sadness that is just unlivable. So if everyone, like I said, I am a woman of faith, and I am not ashamed to say it, and I don't really care at this point if someone says I shouldn't express my faith at a government meeting. So I do ask for those who are to pray for this family, for this terrible time that they went through.
Mayor Kuhn?
Don't make me go much further.
You'll be okay, I know it. I just want to say that Penn Hills was represented there. I did attend the funeral, and I was a part of the ministerial staff and represented Penn Hills, so the family knew that Penn Hills was there to support them. And also, I know that there's a resident in Penn Hills who has put out a request to say, in remembrance of Nalani Johnson, if you would put a pink bow on your door, your mailbox. And I've seen throughout Penn Hills, there are some pink bows, and I think that that's amazing that we would remember little Nalani Johnson in that way.
Thank you. And one other note is, since our last meeting, there were 2 more massive shootings in El Paso, Texas, and in South Bend, Daytona, Ohio. I'm sorry. I don't know what has happened to our country that this happens so frequently. It's heartbreaking and sad that a family goes to Walmart to buy possible school supplies for their children to go to school, and they are shot down, or their family members are shot down. I don't know if you saw the video of the mother and father who were on the phone with their daughter who was at the shooting in El Paso, and she was hiding and talking to her mother and dad, and the mother and dad stated the fear that they had, not knowing if at any moment she would be shot and killed also. I do hope this is, I think Columbine was almost 18 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, which was the first tragedy. And now it seems as though they're happening more frequently. Our public officials have to decide on something. Everyone comes out when the shootings first take place, but then it falls to the wayside. Now, I'm not saying that I want anyone to take weapons away from everyone, but I have nephews on both sides of my family who have hunted from the time they were old enough to get a license, and they get deers every year, but they don't use assault weapons or handguns to get those deers. They use rifles. So something, there just has to be something that is done, and maybe it is Americans who need to step up and contact their officials and say something has to be done. All right, with that, we will go to introductions of ordinances.
Mayor Kuhn,
John?
I need to back up a little bit because I have items for consideration that I'd like to present.
I'm sorry, John, I thought we were done with that.
No, I just got this one, that's all. This is to mayor and council and manager. In light of the recent complaints regarding, when we've had a lot of them, speeding in neighborhoods in Penn Hills, I propose that we purchase more digital flashing speed signs that monitor and record the speed and volume of cars traveling through the such neighborhoods. Those are those flashing speed signs that what we have attached to the poles. We currently have 2 monitors, I believe, and we could use at least 2 more. Also, in some of these areas, we must consider, and we talked about this before, speed humps now to slow the traffic down. A perfect example is Idaho Drive, where Redeemer Lutheran School is located now. We have some real problems up there with speeders. I'm getting complaints left and right. They did put the speed sign up there, but I was up there walking the other day, and come 3 o'clock, they're flying through there again. Numerous complaints have come to me in regards to the speeding and persons in front to and from the school. This is happening on Park Ridge, Garland, Collins, Harvard, and all the roads to the high school. There's something that we need to do, need to address, and quickly before a fatality happens. So I'm going to give this to you, Scott, and maybe we can consider getting those control devices. I did have the name and number for the person. I think I gave it to you. They run between $2,800 and $4,500 a piece, depending on which model you buy. So.
Councilmember Trucy?
Yes, sir.
I agree
Yes,
with
ma'am.
you. I want to say that, I agree. That certainly needs to be addressed before we have
A fatality.
yes. However, I went into the office and spoke with Scott and showed him a video. I went through Monroeville and I showed him one of the residential streets that actually have the speed humps. And we did, in fact, look up portable speed humps instead of putting them permanently down, and they were very, very inexpensive.
That's great.
I guess what it would be is just to determine where we would put them, and I guess he would need to talk to DPW about that, but they are very inexpensive, and we can definitely look into portable.
I mean, we've tried, and Howard's had them put them signs up, and they do work for a while until the people.
Yeah.
But with these people, and we can't afford to have an officer sitting on every corner. I know that, Howard. I'm perfectly aware of that. But these people are just getting, even in my plan, it's bad. They
So
just come-
those portables, I think you'll be well pleased in talking with Scott about what we come up with.
Okay, Mayor,
You done?
I'm done.
Okay, anyone else want anything for items of consideration? If not, we will go into introductions of ordinances. Does anyone have any ordinances to be introduced?
Madam Mayor, that's the ordinance that we talked about earlier, the ordinance with regard to the sale of the.
No, I know that,
Yes.
but we always have, if anyone has any introductions of ordinance and resolutions.
Scott wanted that one under there too, just in case.
Oh, so you want, we have to
Just
bring
admit-
this
just-
up again?
I think that's where he had it on the agenda. We already talked about it.
We already did that, right?
We did the acceptance of the proposal, but we just wanted the public to know that it would be on the agenda for the next month's meeting.
Okay, I think we did cover that, but go ahead and you can state
No, I
whatever.
just did, 'cause
Okay,
nobody mentioned it again.
okay. Reports. Any reports
Ma-
from?
Mayor Kuhn?
From council.
Mayor Kuhn?
John?
First thing I have, this gentleman's been sitting here patiently in the front of the audience, and I'd like to go with him first. Dr. Ken Vacant is in front of us, and he has jobs available for the U.S. Census. I believe you said 11,000 at $18.95 apiece. I'll pass these out, and these are his pamphlets that he has. He's stopped up to see us, just so we could get the word out that there is jobs available. Would you mind if he just said a couple words?
No, not at all. Please come up. Thank you for being so patient.
He sat
Who
through.
is this guy on?
That's not yet, Chris.
Okay,
Yeah, I had it up.
all right. Now, Mayor Kuhn, Deputy Mayor Sept, council members, and all. I was invited here by Councilmember Petrucci to talk to you about the 2020 census. However, before I do that, I'd like to talk to you about my sewage bill.
You came to the right person.
Well, you know, I'm glad to be back in Penn Hills. I'm actually a Penn Hills graduate.
Oh, you have a PhD?
Yes, I do. And another one as well.
That's what I tell everyone. I have a PhD, Penn
Yeah.
Hills diploma.
One of those on top of it. So I'm proud to offer an opportunity for people to join the 2020 census. It's my job. I'm in charge of the entire Allegheny County as far as the census goes. And my job is to hire, between now and the end of the census, 11,000 people. We're starting off paying at $18.50 an hour, not $18.95, but $18.50 an hour. And that's for the people who will be going out door to door. We have jobs that go all the way up through $27 an hour that are temporary or semi-permanent jobs that can be rolled over into other government jobs at the end of the census. We have 1.25 million residents in Allegheny County alone that we have to get counted. And so by asking you to please just disseminate this information to the residents, let them know that the census is coming, but more importantly, if they want to work at $18.50 an hour, you do 40 hours a week, that's $750, you know, a week just for going out and doing the census. You can work as much or as much as you possibly can. There's the nice thing about this job. You can do 40 hours a week, plus there's going to be overtime as well. Or if you have obligations where you have to take your kids to school and you've got 4 or 5 hours in between, you can work those 4 or 5 hours and get paid for that just as well. So there's a lot of opportunities here for you. And so I respectfully ask the mayor and council and everyone else in here, if this is something you're interested in, or you know some neighbors that are looking for work or something they want to do, please go on the website. It's 2020census.gov/jobs. And I have a bunch of information I can leave with you and pass out. And I thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you,
I
Doctor.
have one question.
Yes, Mayor.
When you have a census taker, do they come into play if the mailing that goes out for the census is not received? I mean, they're not going to every house, are they? I mean, I thought it was when you get in the mail your census form, if you don't fill that out and return it, then the census takers come around. Is that not accurate?
Well, actually, Mayor, that's an excellent question, because this is the first census that we're actually going to be collecting data 3 different ways. We're going to be collecting it through the online process and also through the mailers. And then the last step is to go door to door to the people who haven't answered either the online or through the mailing.
Okay, that's what I thought had taken place in the past. I just was wondering if that was being changed.
Yeah, we're trying to modify and make it as easy as possible
Right.
for everybody to, you know, stand up and be counted.
It's very important because of the fact it affects a lot of funding the communities receive. So it's very important for everyone to return their census because it can help your community in beneficial ways.
Yeah, most definitely, not just with funding, but also with representation,
Right. All
which
right.
can also lead to funding.
Thank you for being so patient and waiting through our long meeting.
No, it's my pleasure. Like I said, I'm proud to be back in Penn Hills, and also that would be Dr. Ken Vihek, 141 Bellevue Drive.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. We met 2 of your colleagues at Seven Springs, and so we were very interested in bringing this information back. So I'm glad you're here tonight to represent and explain the job opportunity. And thank you for waiting.
Okay, next item on my laundry list. I guess the mayor was reading my mind when I wrote this a couple days ago. I would like to acknowledge Officer Winnan doing a great job in locating a suspect's vehicle in the abduction of Nalani Johnson. Unfortunately, we all know the tragic conclusion to the abduction. My condolences go out to the family and friends of Nalani Johnson. I wrote that a couple days ago and didn't realize the mayor was going to do the same thing. Keep Penn Hills Beautiful campaign started. Chris, could you throw that up?
It's been running, yep.
By rebranding all the garbage cans on Frankstown Road. In addition, Tyler Tomasino and I finished a beautification project on the island of Hamel and Bevale. We were removing weeds and debris and painted the curb and signpost at a flower planter. That's not it. Okay, that's the keep going. That's the park down.
It's just running.
Okay, right there. Right there is the island that we pulled all the weeds and we cleaned it up, and then that's what it looks like after we added a flower pot with some flowers around it. And DPW did all the paving around it. So we want to thank our DPW crew for resurfacing the traffic island as it was in disrepair, and our 2 local businesses that donated all the supplies, Sherman-Williams and Eastwood Hardware. Also, due to the sale of stickers, we purchased a garbage can and we'll be installing it at Highland and Frankstown, and Frank Allison will be maintaining it. Since you got that rolling like that, I think I'll just go to the other one too. First, the anti-litter group participated in the Pittsburgh Garbage Olympics and picked up litter along Verona and Coal Hollow Roads. That was Saturday the 20th. It was a great day to be proud from Penn Hills. There was a lot of activity around the community. There were a lot of volunteers that helped pick up the litter. There were approximately 29, and in 2 hours there was 80 bags of trash was cleaned up. Also, we check out the new T-shirts and the anti-litter group members were wearing. They look great. They also won the Team Spirit Award. Those are some of the new T-shirts. And those were on sale, I guess, before for $10 a piece. And if you want them, you can see Tyler Tomasino or Faith Milazzo. One of the interesting things that they did find on that litter pickup is they found a gun. And it was turned over to the Penn Hills PD. That was found somewhere, I guess, around the Fireman's Club. Also that day, the Penn Hills Shade Tree Commission was working on phases of the Plum Creek Bank Restoration Project in the Penn Hills Community Park. Volunteers, approximately 50, planted 43 trees along the stream and spread meadow seed afterward. This project is going to help beautify the park for years to come. And finally, while this was going on, our volunteer fire departments were out collecting donations via their Fill the Boot drive. Hope while you're all out and you've seen them, you made sure you donated to them. A huge thank you is in order to all the volunteers who helped out Saturday morning, as well as all the organizers involved in the anti-litter group, the Shade Tree Commission. And these projects wouldn't be possible without the hard work and dedication. And we also like to thank the Penn Hills Police Department for providing traffic control during the litter pickup, and the safety of our volunteers is paramount to anything else. And having officers along the roads goes a long way, and we thank you. You know, without folks like Faith Milazzo, Kathy Rayborn, Frank Allison, Brittany Norris, where would we be in our community? These folks spend hours upon hours upon hours, whether it be cleaning up litter, planting trees, taking care of trees, worrying about the environment, or pets. Brittany Norris, she's a big pet advocate, and she helped us out with our pens and stuff around here. I mean, without these people, where would we be? So I thank them from the bottom of my heart, and anything they ever need, I hope we can help them out. Rosedale Pool Carnival was a big success. The 3-day fundraiser was for the almost 94-year-old Rosedale Pool. Is a very well orchestrated event, including entertainment, free things for the kids, rides, games, and food. I can tell you that the volunteers have an eye for detail and have ironed out so many things over the years. I look forward to this every year, and it's an awesome event. Make sure you go next year. I attended the annual Penn Hills Verona Firefighter Appreciation Day and held at the Rose Funeral Home. This is a great community event with food, drinks, and activities for the entire family. It also allows residents to check out fire apparatus up close and meet some of our first responders. Our mayor was there also. A huge thank to Bernadette Rose and Rose Funeral Home. She's always got, is always helping out the volunteers, fire departments, for putting this fantastic event on. To all the sponsors and volunteers who made this today possible, and mostly importantly, to all our volunteer firefighters in Penn Hills. It's a very fortunate to have 6 stations staffed by brave men and women, all volunteers, who are willing to put everything on the line to serve the community and ask little in return. Be sure you donate to your fire department. Okay, we're done with that. Last Thursday, I attended the economic development meeting, and they're going to come, I believe, in October and give a presentation what they're doing. I'll run through a couple things. They presented a strengthening community partnership. What they did is Alan Waldron and Tyler Tomasino applied for a grant. Now, this grant money will be used to help out in different things with the Economic Development Group and with the CDC. And I'll just read you a couple lines. The Allegheny Conference of Community Development is inviting proposals for the participation in the Strengthening Community Partnership, an initiative to build community development-oriented partnerships between corporate community and communities across the southwestern Pennsylvania. The SCP is intended to assist community-based organizations to advance economic development goals, planning, and practices in their community. It's a real good organization, and like I said, Tyler and Alan Waldron. Alan Waldron was representing the CDC, and Tyler was representing the economic development team, and they did a presentation down in front of these people, I believe, last Friday. So they'll be giving a little bit more information on that. At the next meeting, we discussed New Sun Rising, which they also went to, and we did some workshops with them. I was participating myself in them, and so was manager Andrejchak, about different things that are going on in Penn Hills. They're the same people I think I mentioned once before. Those are the individuals in the organization that brought up Sharpsburg and Lawrenceville. They helped the economic development in many towns going up the river. We discussed a LERTA program, and they're going to do another presentation on that. We had a LERTA program that expired. They're revisiting it. They're adding more property throughout the community for commercial development. So that'll be explained also hopefully at the October meeting by Tyler Tomasino and some of the people from the economic development team. Oktoberfest is at the barn this year. It's sponsored by the Rotary Club. It's Saturday, September 28th. You would see probably one of the people, I think Andrea Getzy has some tickets. Jim might have some. I don't know if Peggy Denham has any. She doesn't have any, okay. But one of those two people would have them. We have a draft, which I'm thankful for, on the noise ordinance. And Chris, I believe you had something to do with this?
Very little, actually. It was the manager that
Very little, the manager?
found
I thought you
the
said he
ordinance.
did.
I just converted it to Penn Hills.
Well, you both did it.
Yeah, we
Did it.
We had a draft, and we solicited it to, we shared it with all the departments to get their input, police department especially.
Okay, I think it's
worked it out. So I think it's a
very
pretty good step forward.
It's very, very good. I'm sure the community will be glad to hear it's finally done, and I guess we'll be probably passing it next month.
Yeah, I think that's the intent.
Yeah, we'll have it on next month's agenda.
Next month's agenda? Very good. Very good. Thank you for both for doing that. I found this interesting too. The Vacant Property Registry, they're going out and they're not only doing foreclosed houses, but they're also doing vacant property that are.
Yeah, that was part of the amendment that council mayor approved a little while ago. What was it, Chris, maybe 2-3 months ago, I think? But
yeah, I think it was 2 months ago.
Yeah, originally the program was just bank foreclosed properties. So what they're going to do now is they're going to go out and try to register all vacant properties. Anything with a structure on it that's vacant, they're going to try to register it. They have a way of doing that, maybe by looking at utility bills to see where there's a vacant house. So.
And we'll be getting money from both
we
also.
will.
Yeah.
So the
the idea being that, like, if they can get it, they'll like we always say, no, you're not gonna get those, and they're saying, well, let's try.
It's not costing
Yeah,
us
that's
anything if they
That's-
try.
That's good. That's good. How much to date have we received? Do you have any idea from the vacant?
In front of me. I could probably
Well,
let
it's
council
ballpark.
there know.
No? Ballpark.
I haven't looked.
Okay, but we have received a significant
Oh, yeah.
amount.
I mean, I think we've increased what we used to get.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, that's great, that's great. Okay, well, I think that's about it. I already thanked Megan and Chris for all the grants that they write, and again, I think these people deserve recognition for all these grants that they are writing. And I believe that's it. Mayor, I'm done.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes, ma'am.
for, with the CDC, you guys were doing, that was a great job. The island looks really nice. It really does look good. There's a tree that was planted by Frank.
Frank Allison, over on Robinson Boulevard.
No, not on Robinson.
Oh, I'm
It's on
sorry.
Frankstown and Graham.
Frankstown and Graham and
Can
the
you
island.
please try to get that tree removed and replanted someplace else? It's probably too late in the season. I don't know a lot about horticulture, but if you could check on that, because that tree is, that spot, that space is not a good space for the tree because it's going to become massive. And if you could just look into that, but I think it would be so nice at one of the parks because it is going to be beautiful.
Okay, I will do that for you.
Yeah, it's
Not
going
a
to be a
problem.
beautiful tree. Thank you.
I will call Frank later on today. Well, maybe not tonight, tomorrow. It's getting a little late.
Any other reports? No? Next, we have citizen to address council. Is it Burl Ann Everett? Not here? All right, we are going to have an executive session after the meeting. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Mayor, can I make a motion to adjourn this council meeting?
I have a motion made in second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hey, this is yours.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Scratch paper. Scratch paper.